All right, we are recording.
Hey, you're now listening or watching the Halos in the Infield podcast with your hosts Todd Fox and Fernando the Lone Star Halo, brought to you in part by Noble L Works, just outside of Anaheim Stadium and the Pond, or the Honda Center, where you can get drink specials just by mentioning Halos in the Infield. Also brought to you in part by 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets is a place to go to get 10% off of any ticket purchase just by also mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Now enjoy the show.
How's it going, everybody? I am the Lone Star Halo. You guys know that. No Todd today. He had a bit of a work situation. He might talk about that on the post-game show. I'm joined here by a face some of you guys might know if you guys are on YouTube. Some of you guys might not. This is Gabriel, a.k.a. Gamer_Athletics. Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is really cool. I like the intro.
Thank you. Have you ever been to Angel Stadium?
I have. Fairly recent, actually. I went down there for the last series of the season. It was the A's were the Angels were hosting the A's, and I actually got at the last game. I got Ryan Noda's batting gloves thrown to me. So yeah. Okay,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, real quick, anybody who's been following us for years knows that I'm a giant memorabilia collector. I mean, you can probably see some of the autograph stuff behind me. I see the stuff behind you. This is just like a little bit of it. I got like signed bobbleheads and a bunch of stuff. We can probably talk about that later. So,
yeah,
since you're a big autograph guy, God forbid, knock on wood, whatever term you want to use, I'm sure you've thought about this. Okay. Something bad happens, there's a fire in the house or whatever, all the important stuff's out, your loved ones are out. You could only save 3 autographed items.
Freak.
What are the 3?
Oh man.
I can give you mine if you need to think.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, let's hear yours.
Okay, well, you think. So number 1 is this autographed Tim Tebow jersey. I got him to sign it at the Arizona Fall League in I think 2016. Number 2, I have an Albert Pujols signed Angels helmet over there. That's, and the 600 home run ticket from when I was in attendance. That's number 2. And then number 3, this is kind of probably cheating, but I have a case here. It's about yay big, and it has like my super valuables in there. It has some autographed hockey pucks. It has 2 out of my 4 Mike Trout signed baseballs and a couple of other ones. I have a signed copy of John Cena's The Marine in there, Gabriel.
Oh wow.
We have to save this. So those are my 3 items.
3 items. Let's just say this. I'm gonna try to see if I can get it in here with the technicality. Does my binder of autographed cards count as 1 item?
Yeah, because I mean that's easy to grab all together. Right. You know what I mean?
All right. So I think the first thing I'd grab would probably be the binder then, with that technicality, because sure. I got a good amount in there. A Mike Trout autograph baseball card in there as well.
Okay.
So I will say.
Do you know which card it is off the top of your head?
I think it's the 2016 version of him, and it's him with the he's catching a ball at the wall.
Okay, yes, it's that famous catch where against the Mariners where Andrew Heaney was on the mound.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's that one, and then my second one. These 2 are just me being biased, and it has nothing to do with valuable wise. But for those who watch my channel, 2 things. 1, there's a picture frame hanging above my TV right now, and it's my baseball player friend, JB Wendelken. He used to be a reliever for the Oakland Athletics until I think 2021. Halfway through the season, they DFA'd him. And then afterwards, he ended up going to the Diamondbacks and now currently plays in Japan. He was a teammate of Trevor Bauer's on the Bay Stars, and he's still currently there right now. So shout out to my boy JB. But I would grab that. And also, because I just got this, and again, there's probably no worth to this except for me. But last year I caught Ramon Laureano's home run. And I find that very valuable to me just because I've always wanted to catch an A's home run in specific. I've caught many home runs before. When I say many, I mean like 2 or 3. But it was never an A's home run. So I got Ramon this year to actually sign the ball And so it has the ticket stub and everything inside the case. And so those would be my three things.
Okay. You did you make a vlog about the Ramon Laureano one?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that one yet. I'm pretty new to following your channel, which is why I wanted to reach out. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff in the videos I've seen. But yeah, it's really cool to talk autographs. We'll probably have to talk, off air on messages, because I kind of want to see your collection, because I'm a big autograph nerd. Okay. So let's talk about the real reason why we brought you on. Obviously, the Oakland A's made it official that they are going to go to Sacramento for at least the next 3 years, potentially Las Vegas. I don't really know if that's going to happen yet. I think a lot of people are kind of on that too. But before we get to that, what made you an Oakland A's fan?
Let's see. I would say it's a bunch of things, really. I mean, just like most like everybody else, probably. It's probably mainly because of my family. You know, I grew up here in Oakland, and my family members, they were mainly A's fans. There was very little that were Giants fans, but mainly they were A's fans, and we would go to games and stuff. And my parents, one day, they tried to get me to go to try out to play baseball, and I wasn't really into it. I was just more of a casual fan. I thought it was cool, but I just didn't want to play it. And once I started playing it, I thought it was cool, but it just never to pursue it. And then when I was in high school, pretty much, he's my friend now, but at the time we barely talked to each other. He saw that I was wearing an A's jersey or A's hat or something along the lines of that, and he pretty much was like, "Hey, you're an A's fan. You're in my class. Would you like to go to a playoff game with me?" Crazy thing to hear from somebody you barely even know. You know, it's like, "Hey, do you want to go to a playoff game?" And so pretty much I was invited to Game 2, American League Division Series in 2013, the famous Stephen Vogt walk-off hit. And when I was there, I felt the atmosphere. I felt the love, and just I felt the magic in that place when that place erupted. And for me, once that ball was hit, I just wanted to be an A's fan. Like right there, then and there, I just couldn't get enough, and I just wanted to keep going back and, just, kind of, and I guess you can say catch up with what I was missing, because, when you don't go to games for so long and then you're just like introduced to something, you're like, dang, this is what I was missing out on. That's how I felt. So like, I wanted to be a part of the right field and left field bleacher crews with the flags and the banners. I wanted to just be a part of the fan base and just be a part of this. And so, basically 2014 was my first time trying to go to more games than how I usually did. I only did like 17. Then 20, did I say 2017? I meant 2014. 2014, I went to 17 games. And then 2015 is when I believe 2015, I started to go to a little bit more. 2016, I believe my dad bought me season tickets, and we split it. It was me and him, and we got half a season. And then, pretty much obviously the games increased from there of like, going to like 50 to, 60 to 70. And it just, it kind of never stopped. And, 2019, I became personally on my own, with my own money, I went ahead and bought season tickets. And, that's where pretty much everything just went downhill from there because of the whole situation.
Yeah. So two things. So number one, my dad grew up in Modesto, so a lot of his family is A's fans. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the Oakland A's. Never really understood, the hate of the Oakland A's fans. And, you're an A's fan, so you're probably used to hearing it all the time. Oh, these guys don't have fans. Oh, they need to leave. And I'm sure we're going to get to all that kind of stuff later. Now, the real reason I'm happy I'm doing this interview, I can sympathize with you because no, the Angels aren't facing relocation, but I'm an Arizona Coyotes fan. So the Arizona Coyotes, I don't know how much you follow hockey, have been continuously saddled with relocation rumors for the last, decade. And the A's not that long, but, recently the last 2 or 3 years, that's really all we've started to hear. So since I do have family members that are A's fans, I certainly have always had a soft spot in my heart for the Oakland A's. Number two, Stephen Vogt, one of my all-time favorite players. He's from Visalia. I grew up about 15 miles south of 20 miles south of Visalia in Delano. So very familiar with Visalia. Because of that, I've always loved Stephen Vogt. Don't have anything signed by him. That's a guy who I want to get an autographed baseball from him. I am going to go to Cleveland this year to watch the Angels play the Guardians. So I got to try to meet Stephen Vogt there. But what's if you had to pick like one moment, and perhaps it was that playoff game that made you an A's fan? Was it that? Was it that moment, or was there another moment?
The moment that made me a fan, it honestly was that moment. It was the Stephen Vogt walk-off. Like I said, it was just something that I guess I don't want to say it was adrenaline or just, I don't know what it was, but it felt like once he hit the ball, I just got shot in the arm with magic. Just, I saw the Coliseum, and while everybody says it's a dump and everything, and I understand it, this, like, seeing the atmosphere and how it was, it made me fall in love with everything. I loved the Coliseum from that moment on, from the fans there, seeing how the fans are, seeing how the team is, and seeing just the colors. Like, I'm a little biased because the colors, my favorite color is green, and then obviously the A's are green, so that also made me like them a little bit more. It's like, it made me feel like they're unique too, because other teams, they're like red, blue, and I'm trying to think of another color. I think it's mainly just red and blue though, from what I know. White, black and orange and stuff like that. But like, the A's, and kind of like the Rockies, like, they're the only team that have those colors for the most part, and so it's like, to me, it felt different. It felt different from all the other teams, and just like the people that are there, it just felt different. And that's kind of what made me a fan, because I just wanted to feel different, and not just like, oh, well, at my school, everyone was a Giants fan. Everyone's like, oh, San Francisco all the way and all that. And, some people would just kind of say San Francisco just to, piss off an A's fan. But yeah, it just made me feel different. It made me feel proud to be from where I'm from, and just everything else. Like, it was just so cool. I just loved it all.
Okay. Favorite all-time A player?
I honestly, it's between two, and like I said, just because of the bias part of it. I'll give you one. I'll give you two that are biased. I'll give you one that I think I would have to just mainly choose off the bat. From, I would say, bias wise, I would say Stephen Vogt, just because, like I said, he got me into baseball, and he's a great guy overall. I literally just met him when the A's were playing the Indians on I think the past Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago. I met him along with
weekend
Ramon.
for you guys.
Yeah, I met him when I met Ramon. So there was that, and then obviously my friend JB Wendelkin. Never had that type of player connection before with anybody, and to see that was to be friends with him, and just like how we became friends was pretty cool. So because of that, like, just he's my favorite just because of that. If I'm not being biased, it's probably, I want to say, maybe we're talking a little bit recent wise. I'd say it's honestly between Josh Reddick and Matt Olson a little bit, maybe a little Chapman in there too. But I mean, Reddick was a little bit more personal too, just because Josh Reddick, but over on this side of in the Bay Area, my dad kind of sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. Him and his friend do like wrestling shows out here, and obviously anybody who knows Josh Reddick, he's a huge wrestling fan. And during the 2014 season, I believe it was, we had a wrestling show, and my dad just messaged him on Twitter, thinking nothing of it, like, oh, he's too big to respond back. He's not going to respond back to wanting to go to a little indie show that's out here. And he responded back and was like, yeah, what time does it start? And he's like, oh, it starts at this time. And literally they're playing a game during this time period, so it's like a day game. So after the game, he drove to the show, and he went to my dad's show, and he took a picture with me. He signed a baseball for me. And everybody else in my family, like I said, all my family members are pretty much A's fans. We we just came together and we took a group photo and stuff like that. He even participated in the show. I still have the video on my YouTube channel, but it's on private. But there's a video of him assisting the boogeyman, giving him worms, to do his little gimmick thing on his opponent. So that was cool. So for me, Josh Reddick in that point, it was cool. Matt Olson, just because I love how he plays the game itself. Seeing where he is now, I'm glad he's getting paid. I'm glad he's doing a lot bigger and better things. I wish it was for my team, but as you know, that's not how it always goes. And same thing with Chapman. I think Chapman was a little bit kind of, me and him kind of have like a weird, like, I guess, relationship, if you even want to call it that. But pretty much, like, there was one TikTok that I made, and it was during the 2021 season. He would throw baseballs up to the bleachers, and I caught a ball from him. So for basically almost from third base to where the bleachers are at, he threw it straight to me, and I caught it. And I put it on TikTok, and it actually went on ESPN and on their TikTok page, and also I also posted it, and it got like hella views. So like, every time I saw him, I was like, I'm the dude you're throwing to out there. Like, throw a little, like, try not to throw too hard, because Chapman throws legit like hard no matter who it's to. So yeah, like those are like my favorites though. Those are some of my favorites.
Those are definitely some interesting stories. Josh Reddick going to a indie show and feeding the boogeyman worms. The boogeyman is a name I haven't heard in wrestling in a long time, right? Since the old SmackDown versus Raw video games.
Yeah.
I miss those. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Those are, that's the beauty in baseball, and that's the beauty in sports, right? Like those weird connections you make with certain guys, by the relationships you make by, hey, thanks for throwing me a ball. All of a sudden that video went viral. Something that's so simple, right? A baseball player throwing a ball, 200 feet goes viral. It's this baseball player you never thought was going to come to an independent show does. It's crazy because it reminds you that these guys do have lives outside of baseball. But like I told you off air before we started recording, the beauty and like having a podcast or a YouTube channel, you never know who's going to watch. You never know who's going to interact with you. You never know who's going to respond via social media. So it's kind of cool to get that reminder that exists in other organizations, not just the Angels, especially the Oakland A's. Like I said, their fans get a bad rap. For the last couple of years, it's been, these guys don't have fans. No wonder they're going to Las Vegas. When that's the furthest thing from the truth. So let's start segueing towards that. So when these rumors first started a couple seasons ago, what was your instant reaction?
I'd say the first couple things, I'd say, like, for me personally, hearing it from this point, it kind of felt a little bit like, I don't really know how to really describe it. It's just more of like kind of out of nowhere. I know that in the past, the A's have tried doing stuff like this before, and it's nothing really, I don't want to say nothing new to them, because apparently, a long time ago, and I don't know full on story on this. I've only heard the people who repeat it constantly over and over again. But, the A's have apparently been trying to get out of Oakland for a long time. And, they tried to move to San Jose. They tried to move to Fremont. Didn't work. And, it only got up to the point where obviously now where I start going to games, we see this guy, Dave Cavill, and he's like, yeah, I want to try to get a stadium here. Like, that's my goal. And, I guess you can say I'm a sucker because, I believed it. I believed what he was saying. And he, not only that, but like, I believe what he's saying, but, it's one of those things where people are like, you want to like believe what their actions are, not what what they say. And the thing is that he did that. For the most part, like he took off the third deck tarps. He went ahead and introduced Championship Plaza, where there was more food options. He upgraded food options. He changed the food there. He introduced a little bit of a little bit more, what do you call it? Like, I don't want, like, I guess specialty seating, He introduced some of that, and did the tree house in the up above the left field bleachers, and we saw things, and that included the season tickets as well. Like, it was a better affordable option. There was the three things they always pushed, which was $10 parking. I think it was 25% off merchandise and 50% off concessions. So literally, a personal pizza from Round Table here, it would be $7. But literally, if you and I wanted to go, I would just be pretty much paying for myself, and you would be getting a free pizza. So it's a good deal. It was a good deal, and they just took it away. It was like $3.50, for 2 for 1. But they took that all away. But going back, I am getting I'm going off what you're asking me though, but I will say this back to what you're saying though. When I first heard about it, based off of that, it just kind of felt out of nowhere. And, I guess you want to say, like, I wanted to think that it was just negotiations. Like, this is just, they're just trying to use leverage. Like, they're not actually
fear tactics.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I figured it would be. And it just sucked because, seeing it before my very eyes, it's just like, it's unfolding to something that it's not what I thought it was going to be. And, once it got closer and days started getting closer, it just, it kind of felt more backstabbing. And I guess you could say because of how they decided to do this, like, of everything I just told you, like, they built up the fan base and wanted people to come. And I felt like, a true season ticket holder, like everybody else probably feels like when they go to their team. And now I'm pretty much told, we don't want you to come here, leave. And when they announced that move last year, it was pretty devastating. It was hard to hold back my emotions. And I even think I made a video about it too. And I was really debating if I even wanted to do that, because I honestly didn't want to get judged for, I guess, having that emotion being expressed or seen on camera. But it just felt something like, as for me, that I needed to do, and to let people see like how this actually makes somebody feel. And literally, I was at work when I did this. I went to work and I went ahead and it was slow. And I went into a room. I said, "Hey guys, can someone watch the front for me? I got to go do something." And I closed the door, and I just did like a 11-minute video just talking. And I took off my work shirt, so I'm wearing a white shirt in the video, but I'm just talking and just kind of just saying what's on my mind. But yeah, it was definitely obviously not the stuff you want to hear. And if I'm being honest, and maybe it sounds like I'm being over dramatic, but it honestly felt like a family member died that day, like when I heard that.
So that's a very common thing when you hear, relocation kind of stuff for devoted hardcore fans. Now, my exposure to the Oakland A's move and me following it, obviously as an Angels podcaster and just as a fan of baseball, I'll never fully understand the magnitude of it, right? Because no matter which way you slice it or dice it, no matter how many A's fans I talk to, and no matter my exposure level, I'll never be an A's fan. So I can never sympathize fully. At the end of the day, I think everybody will agree that Las Vegas at some point in time deserves a baseball team, but it shouldn't be the A's, right? Mm-hmm. I think everyone agrees with that. Las Vegas is going to get an expansion team. Great, no problem. And everyone from Las Vegas wants that. They don't want the Oakland A's. They want an expansion team, just like they got with the Golden Knights. So
exactly,
the tough thing is really trying to understand the magnitude of the loss that this community is feeling. Now, I said I grew up in Visalia. I moved to San Diego when I was 6, and I left San Diego when I was 26. So I lived there for 20 years. So I was there when the Chargers left, seemingly overnight, right? Very similar to what's happening right now in Oakland. For years, literally for decades, really, the Chargers were saying, we're going to move to Los Angeles. We're going to move to Los Angeles. And all of a sudden, one day it happened after a bunch of BS attempts by the city. No matter which way you slice and dice it, Dean Spanos never wanted to stay in San Diego. I don't know how familiar you were with that situation, but they just proposed a bunch of preposterous measures on the ballot that were never going to pass because they just weren't fair to the city. And then when they did move, they did it abruptly. They literally did it overnight. And the city of San Diego was left in shambles. And though I was never a Chargers fan, I mean, I'm a Broncos fan, clearly, I went that day when everybody gathered in front of the headquarters because I understood the magnitude of what was happening that day. I went in solidarity with Charger fans, and you were able to truly understand the loss to the community. So it's tough to see this, and this is almost worse. Actually, you know what? There's no almost about it. This is worse. At the end of the day, Chargers fans at least had the Band-Aid ripped off of them, right? It was, hey, you guys don't have an NFL team anymore. Psst. Here in Oakland, it's, you know, they have this deceased family member, so to speak. And John Fisher isn't pulling the life support cord. It's just plugged in.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, don't worry. We're just going to write it out. We're just going to write it out. And it's almost, correct me if I'm wrong here, the gist I'm getting from a lot of Oakland A's fans, it's almost more insulting that they're moving to Sacramento than if they were just to go to Summerlin.
Yeah. I mean, we're obviously just mad in general for the most part. Like all of us, like just, you know, I mean, you know, it's very frustrating is pretty much all it really is to it. It's kind of like a slap in the face, and it's also just you know, it's insulting and disrespecting what we have had here, and to not see them even try, and it kind of just shows just based off of how they deal with their own like deal with things. It's just dumb. It just seeing how this whole thing is going is dumb, and it's not even just the A's itself. It's MLB for allowing all of this to happen, really. Yeah, it just sucks. And honestly, for the most part, most of us fans, we're not following them to Sacramento. We're definitely not following them if they go to Las Vegas. And the only reason why they're even going to Sacramento was because they got bailed out by the Sacramento Kings owner, Vivek, because, you know, a lot of people were saying like, oh, well, Oakland was asking for too much money to keep him here. Even if it's for, you know, 3 seasons. The thing is that it's not even just about keeping them here for those 3 seasons until they go. The thing is, the only reason why they wanted to stay there is because they have nowhere else to go. And by them charging that amount of money, it's like, hey, so you want, so like, in a sense, it's like, you know, it's like having your ex wanting to be like, hey, you want to come over? Or like, you know, you want to stay here for 3 years until you figure out what to do with your life, even though you like despise them and they like, you know, did everything they could to ruin your life. Like, would you let them do that? Like, no, you're probably going to want to be like, hey, you're going to help me pay for rent. You're going to help me do this. And also, like, after the 3 years, you're gone. You know, like, once the 3rd year's done, you got to get out of here. And that's essentially what was going to happen in Oakland. Like, you know, hey, you want to stay here? Well, like, throughout the 3 years, $97 million, you know, $97 million. Also, you know, give us an expansion team, or leave the name and colors of the franchise here. You can go over there, but you can give Vegas an expansion team. Essentially, you can be your own brand, rebrand yourself, or simply sell the team to another person here in Oakland that wants to do it. Because there are people lined up here, ready to go, ready for an expansion team, or, you know, to keep the A's here if John Fisher were to sell. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's just frustrating overall, and to see, I want to say like a little hypocritical on the Sacramento Kings owner, because that franchise was in the same boat a couple years ago, and for them to just open their arms and bail out John Fisher and basically give him a place to play for no money down, anything at all, and then also the NBC Sports California for renegotiating their deal, because that's the other thing, you know. NBC Sports pretty much, if they were to go play anywhere else, that includes Sacramento, they would be cut off from their contract. They would be breaking contract, and they wouldn't be able to air their games. They would have to go find somebody else. And by them being able to do all of this, they allowed them to now renegotiate, and they bailed out John Fisher. So that's the reason why they're going over there to Sacramento.
Do you believe the Sacramento athletics experiment is going to fail? And I mean, by fail, I mean like they're not going to get the fan support there because, we hear a lot of rumors like, hey, perhaps this is going to be Sacramento, auditioning to have a major league expansion team one day. Do you believe that they're not going to get the support there?
It sucks for me. I don't want to say it's not going to, because for me, I want to say like, I want to say it shouldn't get the support, but unfortunately, I feel like Sacramento's going to take whatever they can, and it's understandably so. I mean, when you're a city and you do not have a franchise, and you're really wanting to do whatever it takes to get a franchise, I mean, you're pretty much going to do whatever it takes, even if it means having to deal with the literal triple A's in a triple A ballpark. And they're gonna do whatever they can out there, and for the most part, most of us fans are gonna be going up there and protesting it anyway. But I personally don't think, and I still don't think they're going to Las Vegas. Just seeing how all of this has turned out, like they have nothing going right for them over there. And there's a lot more things that I can go into, which is going to be a lot of information to come off of. And but yeah, I don't think they're going to go over there. If anything, they'll be stuck in Sacramento in a AAA ballpark, and that's going to suck for them because they could have chosen to stay there in an actual major, like a barely up-to-date major league ballpark, and they could have just stayed there and until they had something ready, and they chose to go play over there. So if they want to go play over there, they can. But you're going to get fake fans because they're not really fans of the A's. They're not even going to be the Sacramento A's. They're literally just going to be city redacted A's, and they're just going to have athletics jerseys on them. So it's like they're just being used. And I barely even think that Sacramento will get an expansion team. I don't want to say I doubt it, but based off of just how certain things happened during that press conference and everything else, I don't believe that they could get one. So we'll see how it goes, and maybe, like I said, I'll get proven wrong on that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff right there. So the biggest thing that no, you're fine. It's not your fault. You had some really good takes. The biggest thing that me as an Angels fan can say, and there's no way that the John Fisher's group would ever watch this, but the biggest thing I can say is it's almost a no-brainer in my opinion. And I think for anybody who's smart and just has a shred of intelligence, yes, John Fisher, this is me calling you an idiot, isn't it a no-brainer that if you were to relocate your team to Nevada, who wants a brand new team, that you would try to accommodate that any which way? The easiest way to do that, leave the Oakland A's name behind. It wasn't yours to begin with, right? That name has gone literally through the continental United States, started in Philadelphia, went to Kansas City, then went to Oakland. So with that being said, it isn't your name anyway. So I understand there's some history behind it, but with that, we know that Las Vegas fans are ready to take on a baseball team, but they want their own. So the closest you can come to that is give them an original name, whatever that name's going to be. I think Oakland Athletics fans would be a lot less hurt. And it would be easier for this new potential fan base of yours to embrace this quote-unquote new team. Because, it's the same shitty owner. It's essentially just going to be a lipstick on a pig situation. But at least they're going to have a new ballpark. They're going to have a new name. The people of Oakland at least get the opportunity to try to get an expansion team and take that name back. This has happened in sports many times. I mean, look at the Cleveland Browns, right? The Cleveland Browns left. They got an expansion team, kept the name the Browns. So this isn't uncharted territory. And I truly believe that the front office here is just taking some really bad advice. It's just logical business sense. But whatever. What do we know? We're not billionaires.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad, like how some of these guys even are allowed to own a baseball team or just even operate it, because it just, I don't know, there's a lot of common sense things that I feel like that just don't get addressed, and it honestly just shows, if I'm being truly honest, this whole situation of how you do things is just bad. I mean, like you said, like I think most fans here, because they've been hearing it for years now, I think that they just want, like, I guess what do you want to call it, a resolution to the problem, rather than hearing it drag out. Just like how you said, like, if you're gonna move them, why not just come out and straight up say move them, instead of just doing what you've done. I mean, we're talking like, last year when they first announced this, they were trying to use this as leverage. And then when they used it as leverage, the mayor said, no, we're not falling for that leverage. So, kick rocks. And then, they went from having the land in Las Vegas to, oh yeah, it's not this one that we wanted or what we're going for. We're going for this one. And then they changed the site again to the Tropicana site. Mind you, in Oakland, they were asking for a $12 billion redevelopment of pretty much, they were going to have on the Jack London Square site. They were going to build the ballpark. I know that area very well. Yeah, they were going to build the ballpark there, and then they were going to build a hotel, and then pretty much the whole waterfront was going to be, full of business and, just all azed out right there. And, that was going to be like $12 billion. And they were pretty much trying to do like what is it called? The baseball city, or what do you call it?
Yeah. Baseball village.
Yeah. They were trying to build one of those, and understandably so. I mean, you have the whole waterfront right there. That's great and all, but you guys left Oakland for Las Vegas for what? The smallest,
9 acres
ballpark, 9 acres. And you're supposedly going to build a retractable roof, which isn't a retractable roof anymore. It's a dome. And, it's like you're going to have one of the smallest ballparks in all of baseball. And then they proceed to make this fake rendering just so they can, impress the legislation. And, seeing how they paid them off, there's proof that they literally bought their votes, and now they're giving them $380 million for it. And, it just kept getting worse from there. Like we just kept calling them out for it. And, they're over here blaming in December, they still didn't have a new rendering. They said that pretty much, like they said back like a month later after they released those renderings, they said you can wad those up. There's going to be new ones. It's not going to look anything like that. And then December comes around. They're like, hey, we're going to release our rendering, but we haven't released it yet because a tragedy happened in Las Vegas. So we're not going to release our renderings yet.
With the CHP officer, correct?
Yeah, they blamed the reason why they couldn't show it because of due to respect for him. So then 2 months later, they go ahead and release the renderings, and it's armadillo shaped, shaped thing, kind of weird. And they try to make it look like the Sydney Opera House. And I'm sorry, but that looks too far fetched for me. I will say that to a certain degree, it does look a little cool, but I just don't know certain things. I mean, for one, there's no batter's eye in the rendering. We're talking like the world's biggest. There's the world's biggest, paint, the glass wall or whatever it is.
Yeah. So the left side. So Gabriel described it perfectly with the Sydney Opera House. So the left side is all windows and translucent windows at that, and the top is almost like the sphere in Las Vegas, in the sense of it's also supposed to be a translucent ceiling. And in the photo, it looks almost like a projector along the right field wall.
Yeah. And like I said, the thing, and this is what I'm hearing is, largest glass thing, largest scoreboard in all of baseball. I look out into left field and kind of center. There's no bleachers at all.
Nope.
It's literally just like a walkway or whatever from the looks like it. From the looks of it, unless I missed it, there's no suites. There's no suites in the second deck or whatever, third deck or whatever. It's like they're just missing pieces, and I get it. It's a rendering. Things are gonna look a little different. Excuse me. It just, like if you want to, like to me, if you want to sell something to somebody, at least make it look like you tried, and actually make it look realistic. Because I mean, again, the world's largest baseball screen in all of baseball. You want me to believe that you're going to build that when you can't even pay Matt Chapman or Matt Olson a decent contract?
Yeah,
it's just like, come on, like anything that this man says he's going to want to build or whatever, it doesn't make sense to me. Last year, he said he's going to put $1.5 billion into the stadium. And then literally last February or March, he talked to the press and it went from 1.5 to he's only going to put half, 500 million in it. And the other half is going to be put in by his family, the Fisher family. And now he's over here saying that he may not even put that at all. And he's trying to get local investors to try to build this thing, and he can't find anybody because nobody wants to work with him. And it just, at the end of the day, he has no financing, and he has nowhere to play. And MLB again is letting this happen by letting them play in a AAA ballpark. And when they announced this, he couldn't even name an ace player. He mentioned Aaron Judge. He said, "I cannot wait to see the greatest baseball players of our generation, like Aaron Judge, hit a home run here." Aaron Judge is on. Yeah. Aaron Judge is on the other team, John. There was one thing I'll tell you this before I'll let you go to that your next comment there.
Sure.
There was an interview. If you look it up, John Fisher did an interview. He requested it not to be videotaped because he didn't want it to be cut or whatever. I don't know, kind of weird guy. But there's pictures of just him, of the interview happening, but no video. If you look closely on one picture specifically, there's a notepad in front of him. There's 3 names on that notepad: Zach Geloff, Tyler Soderstrom, and somebody else. He wrote those names because he didn't even know one player on the team.
That's funny. I didn't know that. So for anybody who thinks maybe, he's being a little dramatic. So I've been following this, I would say, from an outsider's perspective as closely as I can. So for the last year and a half, I've been religiously watching Brody Brazil videos. So, big fan of his. I've asked him to come on the show. He's never read the messages. So I'm a bit insulted, Brody. But what I will say is this is all facts. This is all out there. And you've covered this beautifully. You've put a perfect little bow on it. But yeah, I thought it was so funny that out of all the names in baseball, he threw out Aaron Judge. You couldn't even have said something like, it'll be great to see our players duke it out with some guys in our division. Hell, you could have said Mike Trout. You could have said Marcus Semien coming back. You could have said anybody in your division, because at least they come enough times where that makes some sense. But really, Aaron Judge, a guy who plays 3 games a year there, that's the straw you grasp at. It's just, it's pretty funny. But, I mean, it shows the kind of guy John Fisher is. He truly doesn't care about the organization. I mean, we have a crappy owner as it is. Arnie Moreno, I don't know how much you know about him. Bad man also. But, John Fisher, not only a bad man, but he's a bad business owner. And that's just never a good combination. To me, it's funny that Major League Baseball is even giving this clown the time of day. I'm surprised they haven't forced both of our owners to sell, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting a little long here. Last couple of things I want to ask about. So you were involved with Fans Fest in Oakland, if I'm correct there. You also took place in the reverse boycott and the opening day boycott. So hopefully in the future we can get you on again. That's something you're cool with, and we can really dive into that kind of stuff. But real quick, what was it like to be a part of those 3? I don't want to say anti-athletics events because that's the farthest thing they were. They were anti-front office. What was it like for this hardcore fan base to come together and really give a middle finger to the front office.
It felt good for one. But no, it just it's kind of like it's a mixture of emotions. I mean, it's because the reverse boycott, it was one of those, it felt like a playoff game for one. And it was one of those things where, it was like one thing that crossed my mind when the reverse boycott thing happened. It was like, is this the last time that I'm actually going to feel what it's like to have a full crowd here at the Oakland Coliseum and hear that same roar that I heard when Stephen Vogt hit the walk-off? And it was literally, it was an emotional game for me. I caught myself about to tear up and kind of just witness the moment, because obviously I make videos and stuff, so I'm obviously trying to get everything on camera. The one thing that I did though was I stopped and I just listened and I looked just across what was in front of me and teared up a little bit, not gonna lie, and stopped myself to kind of just get myself, kind of snap myself back into what we're doing and what this is for. But it felt great to be a part of that. And I'll be honest with you, I honestly didn't think that was going to work. My friends who pushed this thing, first they were saying, oh, if you donate $5 to our cause, Oaklanders is going to make X amount of shirts. For every $5 equals one shirt. And I was like, there's no way people are going to donate to this. There's no way. And even if we do, there's probably gonna be a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, maybe. But the fact that we got it to, like, I think almost 20,000 shirts, I believe. I forget the numbers. But there were so many shirts that were given out. There was just boxes, just like how we would have done it. And to be a part of that and to kind of, do my video of explaining what that was and seeing how that went viral, and getting interviewed all day, it felt crazy. And it just felt emotional, and a lot of emotions happened that day. For Fans Fest, the Oakland 68s and my friends at Last Dive Bar, seeing what they did for a lot of people, it made me feel good because, like I said, since 2020, the A's haven't had a Fans Fest. 2021, 2022, 2023, and even this year, they did not have a Fan Fest while every other team had one. I mean, one for a fact,
We
this
didn't.
year, you guys didn't?
The Angels haven't had a Fan Fest formally since 2012.
That's
but like I said, our owner
that
sucks pretty bad too.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I don't know. It's just the whole thing is, for Fan Fest, at least for me, from how I saw it, was you get your fans excited for the season, and I guess he's doing us some type of a favor because there's nothing to look forward to when it comes to our seasons for the most part. So, like I said, it just felt kind of empty, not seeing other teams get one, especially the Giants. They had a freaking tour. They went to I think they went to Sacramento or they went somewhere. They went to like 3 different places. They went to like Napa, Sacramento, and then San Jose, and then they ultimately ended it off at their ballpark.
Oracle.
So yeah, Oracle Park. So they had like 3 or 4 different places that they had Fans Fest at, and we had none. So seeing that, my friends did what they did, and me contributing a little bit to that, it just felt great because the people here deserve better. Just like we can keep saying that all we want, like it's the truth. It's seeing what these fans have gone through, and seeing their players get traded away, getting like you said, when people we hear it a lot, like we don't care. We don't care because this guy doesn't care himself. If he doesn't care to win a championship, what's the point of supporting this team? I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense to me. It just people are mad that I'm eating, like I'm not eating shit. Like, oh, you're not. How come you're not eating your food? Well, it tastes like shit. You want me to keep eating it? Like, are you serious? Like, okay, like like I'm eating it for a couple more seasons, but how many more times do I have to keep eating this while I'm watching, Dodger fans and Yankee fans eat gourmet food like a buffet over there, and I'm over here eating shit every year? It's like it's annoying and upsetting. But going back to the topic at hand, Fans Fest, it was a cool thing to see actual players that wanted to come out and support us support us, and seeing helping a lot of vendors. I helped one of those vendors, Masa Wrap Lemonade. They're a lemonade group out here in the Bay Area, and I got them out here, and they I don't want to say it was one of their biggest turnouts, but I want to say it might be. I could be wrong on that, but during their thing, they sold out of lemons, and they had to stop doing what they're doing. And luckily, they were close by to a food shop, and they ended up picking up some more lemons, and they had to continue, selling their lemonade. But like the fact that they sold out and a bunch of other vendors sold out too, it was crazy. I made a lot of connections with Coco and Balfour, and I believe it was Ben Grieve and Billy North, and why am I forgetting Mike Norris? Seeing those guys, like we have those connections now, and they're cool. Grant Balfour wrote the F word on my ball on one of my baseballs, so
I watched your blog immediately before this, or I watched that video. So
yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, and then same thing with the not the reverse boycott, but the opening day boycott. It just felt like a huge party out there. It was fun. I definitely felt a little bit more confident with seeing how everything was, and I knew what to record. And it was a little bit of a struggle because I'm using a new camera this year, so trying to get the shots and make sure everything looks nice and is good quality. And I'm getting shots not only for myself, but I'm getting shots for the Summer Cell documentary that is being made about this entire situation. The people who are making it, they also can't be in Oakland a lot, so they rely on my footage for the documentary, which is why even though the summer boycott is happening, there are some times where I will go to the game just so I can get certain footage. Like Friday, any other time I probably wouldn't go, but Friday, this is the first time since the announcement of the Sacramento move. So I'm probably going to see what that's all about, the vibe in there. Will there be less people than how there is? Will it be like around the same? Just get people's thoughts and just to hear what people have to say. So it should be interesting.
All right. So last two things. So number one, the last game of this season is expected to be the last game, maybe ever, a professional baseball game, a Major League Baseball game. I know the Oakland Ballers, but a professional Major League Baseball game. Do you think that game will draw a large crowd? Just, I think, will people put their hate of Fisher to the side just to say goodbye to the team?
For some, in my opinion, I think for some, there's going to be those people who are going to go. I'm obviously one of those people. There's a lot of my friends who are in the Last Dive Bar and even Oakland 68s were most likely going to go. I can't speak for all of them, but some people, like I said, some people are going to go, some people aren't. I'll tell you this, I feel like there's a bit of a half at this point because, the people who don't want to go, who truly do not want to go because of John Fisher, are not going to be there. Like, there's literally half the people that I talk to who are like, I'm never giving another penny to that man, no matter what it is, parking, tickets, concessions, anything like that. Like they're just done. And I don't blame them. But as for the people who maybe just want to go to that one game, there's a lot of people who I know who that's their last game. They're not going to go to any games this season except for that one. So, okay. I think I still think it's going to be a lot of people there. It may even be more than the reverse boycott. But truthfully and honestly, as much as like I said, I'm going to be there and there's some other people that are going to be there already, but I truthfully hope that and I really think there shouldn't be anybody there that game.
Okay, fair enough. And the very last question I have for you before we let you go. So obviously the short answer is like stay in Oakland, but let's be practical here. So that's probably not going to happen. It should, yes, but it's probably not. What is the best case scenario here for, the Athletics going forward? Is it moving to Sacramento, the schools over stadiums, folks shutting it down in Las Vegas, John Fisher getting frustrated and selling the team outright now, and then maybe the team's kind of forced to stay in Sacramento for the foreseeable future, and then seeing what happens? Is that, in your opinion, the best case scenario?
I feel like that's partly true. I'm not sure like the full scenario at this point. I mean, I know for one, it like I don't want to say Oakland is officially out of it, but you know it could come down to like as Oakland as an expansion team. I heard different scenarios, but I'm still trying to figure out like the actual main scenario. But I think that isn't too far from it right there from how you explained it. But schools over stadiums stopping it for sure, and then you know maybe like I said or like how you pointed out. Did you say that? I think you said. I don't know. Well, you can correct me if you didn't say that or not. But if they get him to do it and he gets frustrated, he sells the team, or you know maybe MLB just tells him forces him to sell the team, and you know maybe it's Vivek, the same guy who helped him out in Sacramento, and he owns the A's, and maybe they somehow figure out how to build a stadium in Sacramento, and they're just the Sacramento A's from that point on. And that could be the team that ultimately MLB wanted in the first place, because ultimately MLB wants an expansion team. They want 2 expansion teams. They just need to finish Tampa and Oakland first. But there needs to be a East team and there needs to be a West team. So if you don't get Vegas, you have Sacramento, and you know maybe Vegas and Oakland battle it out for an expansion team. If I think that's the case, then that might be, but
would you cheer for the Sacramento A's if they get a new owner?
That I honestly don't think so. Okay. I know it's kind of like, I know some Sacramento fans kind of pointed this to me, and they were like, "Oh, would you still be a fan?" Because you know they're in Sacramento, they have to make the drive to Oakland back and forth all the time. And so they're like, you know, like, what's the difference? I just think the difference is that they're just not in Oakland. I mean, you know, I think that's just ultimately what it is. I mean, we're talking like, you know, I literally live maybe less than 10, 15 minutes away from the Coliseum. So being able to just drive my car straight there. And, you know, now that drive is an hour drive or 2 hour drive. Yeah. You know, it's just, you know, I got, you know, or at least for me, I have work, you know, and how I make these videos is I go to the games. Games ends around 9:30ish, 10 sometimes, 10:30, and I come straight here to my house. It's luckily I'm not too far away. I edit these videos as fast as I can before I go to bed. I upload them the next morning, and the next thing you know, I go to work at 6:30, and I, you know, upload it, and that's it, you know. But now imagine me having to go to Sacramento, do that same thing. 9:30 or not, I'm gonna get home probably at like midnight, maybe 11, and I still gotta edit the videos, and it just, you know, it changes everything. You know, it's Absolutely. Like I can't even go with my family because my family already enough when they go to games, you know, they do the same thing. They want to leave early so they can get up early, and now we got to go to Sacramento. Oh well, now we got to drive back, and we're gonna get home late. It's the same story, and it's ultimately just not the same as if it was here.
Well, Gabriel, thank you for joining us. Thank you for opening up to us about this and informing our audience who might not have really been aware of what the stadium saga. For anybody who wants to continue to follow you, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, gamer_athletics. And for those who want to be on Oakland's side, if you want to go ahead and purchase anything from Last Dive Bar, you can use my code GAMER to save yourself 10%. And most of that stuff is going to schools over stadiums to stop this move from happening. And like I said, it may not stop them from leaving Oakland, but at least it's going to stop them from, you know, using Las Vegas, you know, public funds. And no city should have to pay for, you know, use their own public funds for a stadium. Let the owners build it. Kansas City's smart, and they said no to it, I think last week. So
Jackson County.
Yeah, so that's cool for you guys out there. And same, just like I said, if you guys want to see anything, Gamer Athletics on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you guys also want to hear anything else, I'll throw them out here too. Casey Pratt on YouTube, and also Brody Brazil. They're covering this story very well. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've been following Brody Brazil for a couple years now. Since the very first video I ever watched, he like triggered me because he compared like the stadium situation with like the Angels to the stadium situation in Oakland. I'm like, no, they're not the same. And but no, since then I've become a big fan of Brody Brazil. Like I said, I watch his 2 or 3 videos a day religiously. So thank you so much for joining us again, and let's do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoyed talking to you, especially before and probably even after this conversation. So I would love to come back anytime you need me.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you guys know where to follow Gamer_Athletics. Have a great day, everybody.